Welcome to 1111, the Jesus Miracles, now where faith rises, hope returns, and miracles begin today. Like, subscribe and receive this blessing message. Beloved, if you're hearing this message right now, stop for a moment and take a breath, because this is not just another ordinary word passing by your eyes. This is a wake-up call for your spirit. This is a divine interruption. This is heaven pressing pause on your fear, your delay, your confusion, and your excuses. The message is simple, but it carries weight. Pack your bags, it's time. Time for what? Time to move. Time to shift. Time to leave behind what has been holding you hostage. Time to come out of the place where you cried, doubted, shrank, and suffered in silence. Time to step into the place God has been preparing for you all along. Have you been feeling restless lately? Have you been sensing that something in your life can no longer stay the same? Have you noticed that what once felt comfortable now feels too small for your spirit? That is not random. That is often what happens when God is preparing a transition. When heaven says, pack your bags, it does not always mean a physical suitcase first. Sometimes it means prepare your heart. Sometimes it means loosen your grip on old pain. Sometimes it means stop decorating the season you were only supposed to pass through. Too many people have built homes inside places that were only meant to teach them. Too many have made permanent residence out of temporary heartbreak, temporary confusion, temporary delay, and temporary loss. But God did not create you to live forever in survival mode. He did not call you to remain in the same emotional wilderness year after year. He did not rescue you from past battles just for you to stay chained to the memory of them. So let me ask you something honestly. Are you still living inside a chapter that God already ended? Are you still emotionally unpacked in a place where your spirit no longer belongs? Archangel Michael, in the language of faith, often represents courage, protection, battle, and divine authority against darkness. So when this message says Michael is telling you to pack your bags, it carries the sound of spiritual urgency. It sounds like a warning, but it is really mercy. It sounds intense, but it is really love. It is heaven saying, you have stayed long enough in that fear. You have stayed long enough in that grief. You have stayed long enough in that delay. You have stayed long enough among people who do not honor what God placed inside you. It is time now. And the reason many people struggle with that word is because movement with God often requires leaving something familiar. Even if the familiar was painful, at least it was known. And people will often cling to what is familiar, simply because it is predictable. But God is not calling you to predictable. He is calling you to purpose. So ask yourself, have you been choosing familiar pain over unfamiliar promise? Have you been resisting change because at least your current pain is one you already know how to manage? There are seasons in life when God allows a person to remain in one place for growth, but then there comes a moment when staying becomes disobedience. That is a serious truth. Sometimes what once protected you can later imprison you if you refuse to move when God says move. The room that sheltered you for one season can become the room that limits you in the next. The habits that kept you stable for one chapter can keep you small in the next. The people you leaned on in weakness may not be the people assigned to walk with you in strength. This is why transition is so painful. You are not only leaving places, you are leaving versions of yourself. You are leaving old thinking. You are leaving low expectations. You are leaving the exhausted identity that thought survival was the highest goal. And now God is saying there is more. There is deeper peace. There is clearer purpose. There is higher calling. There is another side to the suffering. But will you go? Will you trust Him enough to move before you have every detail? Will you obey even if the map is incomplete? Pack your bags means prepare for separation. This is the part many people do not want to hear, but it is holy truth. Every new season requires a parting. Every promotion requires a release. Every next level demands that something old no longer travels with you. Some mindsets cannot go where God is taking you. Some relationships cannot go where God is taking you. Some insecurities, some grudges, some distractions, some secret compromises, some fears, some attachments to approval cannot cross into the next chapter with you. Not because God is cruel, but because He is protecting what He has prepared. There are things you keep begging God to bless while He is trying to teach you to let them go. There are doors you keep trying to reopen while heaven is saying, that chapter ended because your future requires freedom. So I want to ask the audience this directly. What are you still carrying that God has already told you put down? What emotional bag are you still dragging behind you? Is it resentment? Is it shame? Is it regret? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of being seen? Is it the need to stay where everyone understands the person who's been sensing movement in the spirit, but has been too afraid to admit it? You have felt the tug. You have felt the stirring. You have felt the discomfort in your current condition. You have felt that something is ending, but because you cannot yet see the full shape of what is next, you've been hesitating. Let this message speak deeply to that place inside you. God does not reveal movement to torment you. He reveals it to prepare you. If he is making you uncomfortable, it is often because comfort has become your ceiling. If he is disturbing your peace in one area, it may be because false peace has been keeping you from real purpose. If he is closing your hand around one thing, it may be because your hand must be empty to receive something greater. Have you ever considered that the discomfort you are feeling is not punishment, but preparation? Have you ever wondered whether the uneasiness in your spirit is actually a sign that your season is changing? The phrase, pack your bags, also means stop settling. Stop speaking as though this is all there is. Stop making peace with spiritual dryness. Stop calling change your personality. Stop calling fear wisdom. Stop calling stagnation peace. Stop calling delay your identity. Some people live so long under pressure that they cannot even imagine joy without suspicion. Some have gone so long without movement that they have confused stillness with being forgotten. Some have experienced so much disappointment that they now treat hope as if it were dangerous. But hear this clearly. Hope is not your enemy. Expectation is not foolish when it is rooted in God. Faith is not denial. Faith is trust that what God said is still alive even when visible signs are few. So why have you been shrinking your expectation? Why have you been talking yourself out of what God can do? Why have you been rehearsing worst-case scenarios when heaven is asking you to prepare for divine movement? It's time. That phrase by itself is enough to shake a sleeping spirit awake. It's time for what God placed in you to stop hiding behind insecurity. It's time for your prayer life to deepen. It's time for your discernment to sharpen. It's time for your voice to stop apologizing for the truth God gave you. It's time for you to believe that your life is not just a random string of setbacks. It's time to believe that God has been writing purpose through every trial, every delay, every rejection, every redirection, and every closed door. You thought some things were ruining you, but many of them were refining you. You thought some endings were punishment, but they were protection. You thought some silence meant absence, but it was God teaching you how to trust him beyond visible proof. Can you look back now and see even one moment where what hurt you also shaped you? Can you admit that some of the hardest seasons of your life produced wisdom, depth, prayer, and strength you would not have had any other way? For some, packing your bags means leaving a mindset of defeat. There are people listening to this message who are not trapped by walls, but by inner agreement with limitation. You do not need bars around your body if fear already has your mind. You do not need chains around your hands if discouragement already controls your expectation. The enemy does not always destroy by force. Often he destroys through agreement. He whispers long enough that you begin to repeat him to yourself. He tells you that you are too late, and you begin to live as though opportunity has expired. He tells you that you are too damaged, and you stop reaching for healing. He tells you that nothing will ever change, and you build your whole emotional life around disappointment. But when God says pack your bags, he is also saying, do not carry that lie with you any longer. So what lie have you been carrying? Which false belief has been sitting in your heart for years, pretending to be truth? And are you ready to evict it today in the name of the God who created you for more? For others, this message is about literal transition. Maybe God is moving you into a new place, a new assignment, a new relationship season, a new level of responsibility, or a new form of service. Maybe he is repositioning you in ways you do not fully understand yet. Maybe he is calling you out from hiding. Maybe he is shifting you from mourning into mission. Maybe he is moving you from a background into a place where what he placed in you must finally be used. And that can feel frightening, because when God expands your territory, he also stretches your faith. He will lead you into places where your old coping mechanisms no longer work, where your excuses no longer fit, where your dependence on human approval no longer makes sense. And yet, that is where growth happens. That is where destiny sharpens. That is where faith matures. So if God is asking you to move, will you still require comfort before obedience? Or will you trust that if he calls you forward, his grace will meet you there? Packing your bags is not about panic. It is about preparation. God is not trying to make you anxious. He is trying to make you ready. There is a difference. Anxiety says something bad is about to happen, and you are alone in it. Preparation says God is about to move, and you must be spiritually alert. Anxiety drains strength. Preparation builds it. Anxiety clouds discernment. Preparation sharpens it. Anxiety makes you rush in fear. Preparation makes you stand in faith. So no, this is not a message telling you to tremble. This is a message telling you to awaken. Clean the inside of your heart. Make room in your spirit. Release what has been poisoning your peace. Stop clinging to what God has clearly outgrown in your life. Be available. Be teachable. Be prayerful. Let me ask you, if God opened the next door tomorrow, are you internally ready for it? If the answer came today, would your habits, your heart, and your mindset be prepared to sustain it? There is meaning even in the image of bags. Bags carry what is necessary for the journey. Not everything in your house goes into a travel bag. You choose carefully. You travel lighter. You carry what matters most. And spiritually, that is exactly what God is saying to many people. Stop taking everything with you. Not every memory belongs in the next season. Not every wound deserves front row space in your future. Not every opinion spoken over your life should travel with you. Not every failure needs to become your permanent identity. Pack light, carry faith, carry wisdom, carry the lessons, carry gratitude, carry humility, carry prayer, carry the word of God in your heart, carry discernment, carry patience, carry courage, but leave the bitterness, leave the self-hatred, leave the addiction to approval, leave the fear of being misunderstood, leave the need to explain every move to people who were never assigned to understand your calling. So what is in your spiritual luggage right now? Is it full of trust or full of fear? Full of prayer or full of panic? Full of obedience or full of excuses? And there's another reason this message matters. Sometimes God says pack your bags because where you are is no longer safe for your destiny. That does not always mean danger in a dramatic, visible sense. Sometimes the danger is subtle. It is spiritual numbness. It is constant compromise. It is environments that slowly train you to forget who you are. It is relationships that make you smaller, quieter, dimmer, and more confused than when you entered them. It is patterns that normalize what God is trying to deliver you from. It is the comfort of staying average when God called you to be faithful. It is a slow erosion of conviction. It is living beneath what heaven wrote over your life. And God, in his mercy, will often disrupt before destruction. He will shake before collapse. He will expose before disaster. He will make you restless before he lets you settle permanently in what was never meant to hold you. Have you been calling it stability when God has been calling it stagnation? Have you been calling it loyalty when God has been calling it bondage? Beloved, this word also carries hope. If God is telling you to pack your bags, it means there is somewhere to go. It means your story is not ending in this place. It means this is not the final room. It means grief does not get the last word. It means betrayal does not write the final sentence. It means lack is not your lifelong identity. It means confusion is not your permanent atmosphere. It means the place that exhausted you is not the place where God intends to establish you forever. There is movement ahead. There is direction ahead. There is healing ahead. There is clarity ahead. There is provision ahead. There is fresh oil ahead. There is holy ground ahead. There is a testimony ahead. Doesn't your soul need to hear that? Haven't you spent enough nights wondering if the pain would be the whole story? Haven't you carried enough silent questions? What if this message is God's way of telling you that your next chapter is already breathing? Do not miss this. The command to pack comes before the full picture is visible. That is the nature of faith. God often asks for readiness before revelation. He told Noah to build before rain. He told Abraham to go before showing the land. He told Israel to move before the sea opened. He often speaks to your obedience before he speaks to your comfort. Why? Because faith is not built by having all the answers. It is built by trusting the one who leads you. And maybe that is where many people listening are being challenged. You want confirmation, details, security, guarantees, and visible outcomes before you obey. But what if the proof you seek is waiting on the other side of the step you refuse to take? What if the next instruction only comes after you honor the first one? What delayed blessing might already be connected to emotionally exhausted? Obedience. And that must be acknowledged with compassion. You are not resisting because you are rebellious. You are resisting because you are tired. You have fought too many battles. You have recovered from too many disappointments. You have patched together your heart so many times that another transition feels unfair. And maybe in secret you are saying, Lord, I do not know if I have the strength to start again. But hear this gently. If God is calling you to move, He is not mocking your weakness. He is supplying grace for your next step. He is not asking you to carry tomorrow in one night. He is asking you to trust Him for one step, one prayer, one act of obedience, one surrender at a time. God does not waste exhausted people. He restores them and then redirects them. So maybe the question is not whether you feel strong enough. Maybe the real question is whether you believe God can be enough in your weakness. Maybe packing your bags means repentance. Maybe there are things in your life that must be surrendered before you can walk cleanly into what God has prepared. Maybe it is not only about leaving a place. Maybe it is about leaving a pattern, leaving compromise, leaving hidden sin, leaving spiritual laziness, leaving the habit of only seeking God when you are desperate, leaving the version of faith that wants blessing without transformation. Because the truth is, God is not merely trying to relocate you. He is trying to refine you. He is not interested only in changing your scenery. He is interested in changing your soul. He wants to make you ready not just to arrive, but to remain, not just to receive, but to steward, not just to celebrate, but to carry with humility what He is about to entrust to you. So let the audience consider this deeply. Are you asking God to move you while resisting the inner work that movement requires? Are you praying for a new season while protecting the habits that belong to the old one? And yet through all of this, the heart of the message remains beautiful. God has not forgotten you. If He is telling you to pack, it is because He still has intention for your life. If He is telling you it is time, it is because your purpose is still alive. If He is stirring you, it is because your future has not been canceled. If He is unsettling you, it is because He loves you too much to let you die in a place that was never your final destination. That is grace. That is mercy. That is divine love refusing to let you settle beneath your calling. And perhaps what you have been interpreting as pressure is actually a holy invitation. Perhaps what you have called disruption is actually deliverance. Perhaps what you have called loss is actually release. Perhaps what you fear was ending is only the shell breaking, so the next life can emerge. So now hear this final charge as if heaven is speaking it over your soul. Pack your bags. Pack your faith. Pack your obedience. Pack your trust. Pack your prayers. Pack your scars, but only as testimony, not as identity. Pack the lessons, not the chains. Pack gratitude, not grumbling. Pack expectation, not dread. Pack humility, not pride. Pack courage, even if your hands are trembling. And leave behind everything that cannot breathe in the place God is taking you. Leave behind the voices that taught you to doubt. Leave behind the shame that keeps replaying your past. Leave behind the fear that says you are not enough. Leave behind the old language of defeat. Leave behind the comfort zone that has become a cage. Because yes, beloved, it is time. Time to rise. Time to move. Time to trust. Time to obey. Time to stop mourning doors God already closed. Time to stop begging for permission from people who did not create your destiny. Time to stop calling yourself stuck when God is already preparing transition. Time to stop shrinking to fit the rooms you have outgrown. Time to believe that the same God who kept you in the valley can lead you into promise. Time to remember that when heaven gives a command, heaven also gives a grace to fulfill it. So let me leave your audience with these questions as the message closes. What if the restlessness you feel is really God calling you forward? What if the ending you fear is the beginning you prayed for? What if the season you've been crying in is the very season you are now being called out of? What if God has been whispering, pack your bags, to your spirit, because he refuses to let your story end in survival? And when the moment comes, when the door opens, when the call is clear, when the shift becomes undeniable, will you still hesitate? Or will you finally say, Lord, I am ready. I will go where you lead me?